Right now, though, let's get into a conversation. We do have Veska Kangogo with us in the studio. She is an advisor on strategy and execution, executive officer of the president. Good morning and welcome to Radio Generation. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year, Paul.
Yes.
NCT.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Two people look alike.
Really?
And I hear these days people see people on radio.
Yes, you're currently live. Do you want to see yourself?
I saw you on radio.
Sindio wewe.
So good morning to all Kenyans and welcome to RG.
Yes.
And we are here to have a conversation, a national conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this morning I asked, when did you last experience a national blackout? When is the last time you had intermittent power?
Yeah.
When is the last time it took 3-4 hours before you had your power connection back?
Yeah.
And we are here to address the real issues and find ways of improving efficiency in government services.
Right. The president, when he was was it Dubai or Qatar, some weeks back, some months back, he said that the country is experiencing power rationing. I don't know what he meant by that, because I do not know of a single Kenyan who said that we have been having these frequent power cutoffs or intermittent power connections because of what the president. What did he mean?
I think it is a terminology issue.
Yeah.
Because if I can actually give you the process of having power or powering this radio station,
yes,
from generation to transmission to distribution and sustaining that distribution so that it's reliable, because there is some level of power and supply and demand that we experience on a daily basis. Like, for example, when Kenyans get home at around 6 to 10 p.m., that is the peak time. And all of us either are putting on our TVs, we are charging our phones, we are taking showers, we are cooking. So the demand goes up. Then after a certain period of time, the demand goes down. Now, it depends on what we call installed capacity.
Yeah.
How much installed capacity do we have in Kenya? We have close to 3,800 megawatts of installed capacity. That means if we put on all the generators, and I need also you to be up to speed on the power mix in Kenya. This power that we are having here today is a product of, number one, geothermal. I know you have heard of Olkaria.
Yes.
You have heard of what we are doing now in Silale. We are trying to produce more geothermal power. Two is hydro.
Yes.
I know you have a hydro dam in your village.
There is actually.
Masinga.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And that largely depends on rain. So when there is so the base product of the power that we are having here, the first base or the first input is geothermal power. The second input is hydro. But you remember, hydro depends also on the rain and the amount of rainfall that we experience over time. Then we still have thermal or wind power. And this is power that is generated using heavy oil, fossil oil. Diesel.
Yes.
And that helps us in stabilizing the power, because that you can control. When other power sources become destabilized, you can control thermal power, because once you put the diesels on, it will permanently pump into the system. Solar power is a bit intermittent, because remember, solar power, in most cases where we don't have storage, will only last close to 6 hours. The number of hours that we have real sun exposure. Yeah. So it is now the responsibility of the engineers at the control center to look at what we are getting from geothermal, what we are getting from hydro, what we are getting from how much supply of thermal should we input, so that we stabilize the source of electricity throughout the day, depending on the demand. Now, I know there are instances when we have to do something called load shedding. Load shedding means you reduce the supply of power to a specific region and support others depending on the need. Like, for example, security installations, hospitals. You cannot say the security installations in Kenya can actually do without power. Hospitals. So if you are in a region where there is like in Nairobi, for example, if we have several feeders. We have one that is coming from Kimuka in Kajiado here. We have the one that is coming from Thika. So we can say that let us enhance the one coming from Thika and the one coming from Kimuka to ensure that Nairobi Hospital, Kenyatta Hospital, the security of the city is secured.
Yeah.
So it might require that we reduce the power that will go to Kajiado and specific areas in Kajiado where the demand may not be high and the risk profile could be a bit low.
Okay.
So it becomes then a deliberate decision that let's reduce this power in this area. Hence, we might cause either low outage or voltage and increase the power to other areas.
Yes.
2, if there is sudden drop in supply, you might need to switch off some stations because for you to continue maintaining your system, it's like your fridge or your speakers here.
Yes.
If there's a very low outage, you can actually destroy your equipment. It is the same to the power line. If you don't have a consistent capacity of power that is going through the power line,
Yes.
then it is important for us to switch it off so that you stabilize the line. Otherwise it can actually crash. And if it crashes, then we don't have power. So as the president actually said, in the past there was need to sometimes ration because of the balance. Now I'll tell you 2 interventions, for example, that the president has done in the last 2 years, for example, through serious investment. We have had the western part of Kenya. If you call people from Kisumu, from Kericho, Muhoroni, Busia, they used to have, I think, like daily blackouts. And because the power that they were relying on was from Olkaria, which had to travel close to 700 kilometers. Olkaria could be 200 kilometers to Migori. But power had to move all the way to a further substation. So for it to be stepped down and rerouted back. So what did the president do? He finished the investment at Oleso's Kabarnet transmission station. You recently saw in December, CT, we were in Kabarnet. That line is complete. Now we are able to shorten the distance that power travels from Olkaria. We step it down in Olesos, tunarudisha watu wa Muhoroni, tunapelekea watu wa Busia, and they are now able to get. In Chemosit, there's a very big station at that supplies Kericho. If you call Kericho now and you can open up your communication channels, people can call now and say, at least for the first time, we can actually get reliable and quality power.
Okay.
So those are the things that I would like us to discuss, that it requires deliberate investment. Manufacturing, for example. You know, when we last reviewed the power tariff, we encouraged manufacturers to introduce a 24-hour manufacturing cycle, or even encourage them to produce more at night. And we even gave that they can actually produce at half the rate per unit. Yes.
Okay.
If you produce at night in Kenya, you pay half.
Because the load is low.
Because the demand at that time is low. And actually we can just dedicate to that sector enough power for the night. If you produce between 10 o'clock and 3 a.m., you pay half the rate.
Okay. How many of these diesel engines do you have? Because it is my understanding some of the diesel generators we have, not all of them are functioning. However, we are still paying for them in one way.
You're referring to the independent power producers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is my understanding that some of them are not necessarily in use.
Now,
however, we are still paying for them.
So my brother, you know me, I am a factual person. So I want you to tell me, we understand we have these PPAs.
Yes.
I'll explain to you what the independent power producers agreements that we have. That remember, over time we have something called the least cost power development plan for the country. Meaning, we project, like for example, the president has said, if we have to arrive in Singapore, and I don't know whether this studio is of Singapore standard.
I don't know. You tell us.
Looks like.
Don't worry, it's in the
looks like you are ahead of us.
It's in the high seas heading towards Singapore.
So we may be playing catch up.
Yes, indeed.
So the president said that if we need to incubate the level of development in Kenya that is going to take us to a world-class country, there may be need for us to plan for higher power demand. If today our installed capacity is 3,800 megawatts, yeah, I have seen in the Vision 2030 we were projecting at 5,000.
Yes,
that means we almost have a gap of like 1,200 megawatts. The least cost power development plan has given projects that are supposed to be completed, because developing a generation plant can take between 6 and 10 years. Actually, of either exploration, development, and now we have even said for solar, you cannot install a solar power plant without storage facility, because we will not only depend on when there's sunshine. We want to say, if you're coming on board, are you able to generate more than even what we can consume during the day? You store it so that it becomes backup when the demand goes up. So there are no new PPAs, for example, that may be signed in the coming future that may not have a storage component.
Okay.
Now, on HFO, you will realize that most of the power purchase agreements that were entered into before, because of the demand, you could find that an investor comes, says, I'm going to be bringing $1 billion, for example, to invest in this facility.
Yeah.
Give me the assurance that once I generate, you will take. Because it is a heavy investment. So the model that was used at that time, which may not be the right decision for now, and that's why we have stopped, was pay or take. You get it?
Okay.
Pay or take. I will generate, my installed capacity is 500 megawatts. I will produce it. I will invest in it. Whether you take it or not, you pay me for my 500 megawatts.
Right.
And because there was low production or generation at that time, might be those were decisions that were viable at that point in time. But now that the government has invested heavily in generation by KenGen through the oil carriers, we are now at oil carrier 5 or 6, and the exploration by GDC on geothermal. Like I understand in Silale, in Pokot, if we have security and we actually actualize the Paka project that is going on, we might be onboarding more than 10,000 megawatts. So Kenya over time has also realized that it has inexhaustible source of geothermal power. But it is a heavy investment. Okay. So going forward, maybe we'll have to make decisions that we reduce on HFOs. We don't introduce more.
Yes.
I know there was one in Mombasa which was retired actually over time. But if you have one that you think it is still alive or it is dead and it is being paid for, I would be very pleased to pick it up as an item of action by government.
We sat here with the deputy governor of Mandera, and also an MP from Wajir South, I believe it was. And one of the issues we discussed was power. They were telling us that region of northeastern shidani power, and it's a very good thing you've brought up that issue of there's power you said this power that is being taken from you mentioned, was it Chemosut or Chemosit? Yes. So he was asking if we're able to bring power all the way from Ethiopia and bring it into some of these parts that you've mentioned, yet Ethiopia is actually or they are closer to Ethiopia, yet some of their places do not have power. So you were asking.
I agree with you, Paul. Lakini sasa hapa ni science. I don't know whether in Kitui there is a huge transmission line. City, I don't know where you come from.
I come from Moroni.
Sasa you are amongst the victims of past historical injustices.
Yes.
So
one Dr. Joseph Siror explained these things at great length.
Yes.
On some like 3 occasions.
Yes.
And I understood it. And that is why, you see, I've sat and I'm listening, because I'm waiting to hear something I haven't heard before.
Perfect.
Yes.
And because we are one government, you might not hear anything that you have not heard before, unless you have a different question.
You see, I found it very interesting when he was telling us how power is rerouted.
Yes.
Man, that thing follows the longest route. I said, what do you mean? It starts here. Why must it go there? Then it goes God knows where, and then it comes here. Why can't it just come directly?
City,
yes.
Let me ask you. If there was no road between Maimayu hapa juu ni Limuru, Rimuru, Maimayu, Naivasha.
Or unless you want to go through the Narok route.
Sasa kama hakuna barabara ya kupitia Narok ama hakuna barabara ya kupitia Kericho, the only barabara ni ya Mombasa Road. Sasa unatoka Nairobi, unaenda Nakuru, unaenda
Actually,
kama hakuna bara ya kupita katikati, itabidi uende mpaka Eldoret ndio ufike kwenu.
Actually, ile bypass ya Soko Mjinga utaenda Nyandarua.
Correct.
Yes. Then uzunguke.
Yes.
Yes. Labda utatokea si burnt forest. You know, I understood when it was explained. See, with every discipline, there's a logic
behind it.
That it functions, and that's the logic you need to internalize.
I think people didn't know that carrying power is like carrying a road. Actually, the transmission line that you see is the highway.
Yes.
Now let me explain why the 400 kV line from Ethiopia cannot supply power in Wajir.
Okay.
You cannot connect a high voltage power line to a household.
It has to be stepped down.
It has to be stepped down more than 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And even when that power comes, there are some substations which cannot even be able to receive. It will explode. So you have to step it down close to 3 times or 4 times and have lines and feeders that divert that power.
Yes.
Ni kama sasa kukuwa na a truck, a wide load truck coming to your village. Now the size of the road, because I know where you come from.
Nearby scale.
You know, it almost damaged my car one day when I came. Kama barabara ni ya baiskeli, uwezi ukaleta 1,000 ton or 12,000 ton truck to come and use that road. It will destroy the fences, it will destroy buildings for it to be able to...
And even damage the road further.
And even destroy livelihoods on the road.
True.
So it is the same science. Power travels just the way any other infrastructure travels. It's like water. From Masinga Dam, utakuta wanatumia a big size of a pipe. Inakuja inareduciwa mpaka kwako inaingia na half inch.
Ndio nifungue kale katap kwa bafu.
So usiniambie juu tuko Masinga kwa nini maji haipiti haingii kwetu? Tana has to introduce infrastructure.
Right.
It has to have even a minor dam, hold it, reduce the output, the outflows, until it reach. Otherwise, it will become a salga moment.
Okay.
Which moment? Which place was that where a dam burst? You remember there's a dam that burst?
Yes.
Naikabeba watu.
You know the thing about this discussion is that it's similar to very many other discussions where, in the absence of accurate and credible information regarding that particular discipline, people then concoct and make up
a narrative.
Yes, based on their understanding of it, and the understanding is limited. Unfortunately, this is where we come in and say those charged with communication within government are doing a terrible job, because it is their job to actually make sure that these things are explained, so that when somebody says this, you say, excuse me, let me just refer you to this, which was taken out on this particular day. Because we know of electricity because we consume it, we see it.
At the last mile.
Yes, but the details of how it gets to us,
absolutely,
to be honest, we really do not know.
Yeah, like I didn't know about this whole issue of, I know power is usually stepped down or stepped up, but the way you've explained it about it being a highway, and now the other inroads get in, I have now understood.
And we have a barabara tofauti, so feeder roads. The power that comes, for example, from Thika, we have to introduce different feeders to make it shorter to reach. So all of us could be picking up power from Thika.
Yes.
In Nairobi. But the person in Ruai, we have to find a way of having that power reach that person the same time it is reaching you by fast tracking the routes.
Yes.
You get it?
Right.
So we cannot also have one feeder for one substation. You will have several feeders.
Okay.
Like for example here, if power goes off, unakuta it comes back within 1 minute. It could be a different feeder that has come in to step in to supply you power as they sort out that line and find out, because we have a serious command center where I can wish to take you one day in Dandora. Please go and see how power travels. Because sometimes, City, I want to agree with you. My first employer was Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. I worked with Paul Mongala's mother.
Yes.
Called Wanza Mbuvi.
Yes.
Alikuwa anafanya kipindi cha watoto. And I was a human resource officer.
Okay.
When I was first interviewed, I was asked about the vision and mandate of KBC. Nikasikia it is supposed to educate, inform, and entertain. But today when I come to RG, I want to ask, do we still do the basic job of the role of media? That number one, we inform. And for you to inform, you must be well read, well informed. Because if you pick up newspaper headlines and use that as information, then I think you're not doing us justice. If you pick up personal opinion from Facebook, from Twitter, like I saw someone saying, you guys, Kenya imekwisha. Mumesikia the president amekula dividends ya 10 years ya Safaricom. My friend, that is a person any youngest economist should ask. If not City, any economy should ask you, how do you project? Me, I'm a member of Azina Sako.
Yes.
I'm supposed to get my dividends in April. How do I pick dividends for next year when I don't know how my shares will perform this year?
True.
If you follow such a person and make a conclusion, then we are doomed.
Yeah.
Because we listen to unverified, uneducated, and researched information, and we use it. I wish we can raise the bar. And someone was asking me, what is Singapore? I said, Singapore is the new standard. Singapore is the new standard on our values, on our education, on our technology, on information. So you should be able at RG to say, where is your source of information?
Actually, yesterday we were with the Kerry chairman, Honorable Terito Murithi, and he said Singapore is an ideology, and I agree with him. Yeah, it's not the physical place.
Yes.
You've mentioned Dandora, and I was thinking Dandora has so much waste, and there are countries that are converting their waste into energy. Why are
Singapore being one such country?
Yes.
Singapore being one of them. Why is it that we are unable to convert all this waste we have around the country into energy?
And I said today I'm here and I'm ready to demystify Singapore all the way. First of all, what is the population of Singapore?
6 million.
6 million. What is the population of
Nairobi?
Nairobi alone is 8 million. I was the minister for finance here. And every time I used to get pressure of increasing staff in the traffic department, because mchana we are 8 million.
Yes.
Usiku we are 4 million. It means Nairobi City gets the pressure of more than 4 million people who come to access government services. Or people who live in Kajiado and come to Nairobi.
Kiambu.
How do you compensate Nairobi County to be able to manage the inflows from other
counties?
Yes.
They are putting pressure on water. They're putting pressure on roads. They're putting pressure on sewer system. Yet, they're not getting additional revenue, for example, to take care of that gap. But let me take you to Dandora. So we've agreed, first of all, you can't... the Singapore narrative is a standard that we want to go to. But we have our own situation at home. We are dealing with 55 million people, different ethnic tribes, different cultural orientation. Kila mtu amekuja na mimi, where I come from, this is my culture. Where I come from, women are not supposed to speak. Where I come from, we don't educate our girls. Where I come from, so their standard of even education, their orientation of education and exposure is different. We are doing a digital superhighway. I don't know whether you are aware. I have information here. I can give it to you.
All right.
The digital superhighway, for example, that we have done, we have developed a trunk. Kenya Power, for example, as trunk lines, trunk ducts. We call it black ducts.
Okay.
Ni kama pipe ya black ile tunaweka kwa mutaro. Na tumeambia kila mtu hapa ndani tumekuwekea fiber optic. Wewe ukitaka network una plug in, tunakusaidia kusafirisha mpaka mahali unataka.
All right. This is through Kenya Power.
Yes, but funded by the Universal Service Fund, which is part of what we collect from your airtime that you spend this morning.
Okay.
When we have the excise duty from your airtime, it goes to CA, Communication Authority, as excise duty, which is set aside as a Universal Service Fund to help people who have not accessed internet or have not accessed network. I come from a very, my grandparents came from a very remote place in Baringo. They have gotten a Safaricom network for the first time in November 2025.
Last year.
3
months ago.
And you expect those children in that region to compete with your children in the city. Number one, they don't have internet. They don't have network. When they are sick, they pray for their sick people because in fact, I asked one of them, how are you dealing with emergency? And they told me that we have never experienced emergency in this area. Even God knows that we are not able to handle emergencies. So, mtu akiwa mgonjwa, tunamwekelea mkono, tunampatia matawi ya msituni, mpaka afike hospitali. And it is true. They were able to survive. Today, young people in that part of the region are now able to access phone. You can ask Honorable Makelapo, the MP for Baringo North. He will tell you when he went to switch on the network for the first time, using money that Mongala and CT contributed through the airtime. Na munasema airtime in Kenya is very expensive. No, we must charge you excise so that we have investment in regions that have never accessed network.
Yes.
Now, those children now can be able to access internet. They can be able to access power. Power imefika, hakuna internet. Sasa internet imefika through Safaricom. Sini kweli? That means when we advertise for jobs in KRA,
yes,
they are able to
access,
see.
Yes.
So that brings them now to the level where they can experience government services and equity in access to information. I want you to ask me questions on the digital superhighway. CT can be Googling or you Google, because I must explain why the president prioritized. And because I don't want you to forget.
Right.
Why I'm having this discussion today is because we have our economic building pillars that came from Vision 2030. And CT, because I can see you're almost my age mate, you know that when we started... Why is he laughing?
Because you look way younger than he is.
Does he look older?
I'm saying you look younger. I don't want to comment on him.
No, looks ni effort. Looks ni effort.
Ni effort. Sawa. Tuende kazi.
So, City, you agree that Mwai Kibaki established an economic route for Kenya post-independence. Tulianza na vitu ilikuwa inaitwa medium term development plan, sessional papers, and other tools of planning that were used over time. When Kibaki came, he said, we cannot continue driving a country without having a clear objective and targets of where we want to go. So he gave us 3 pillars of Vision 2030. One was on the economic pillar, and he asked if we can actually become an independent country that can be able to generate money for itself and run its business. That is why he brought the slogan of lipa ushuru
ujitegemee.
Tujitegemee. Lakini sisi sahi tukiambiwa tulipe ushuru tunaitana nani?
Ni venye watu wako na complaints about.
Sema vile tulikuwa tunasema.
Tulikuwa tunasema aje?
President alisema tulipe ushuru, mkamuita nani? Zakayo. Akaleta Mbadi, akasema Mbadi kuja tusaidiane tukue Zakayo wengi. We should be asking ourselves, the countries that have been able to develop,
right,
did they depend on borrowing, or they actually took their hands to be in charge of generating enough income for their own country so that they can develop? If you want to do a road, must you continue going to beg the international community to come and develop for you the roads? Look at what we are doing today at the Rironi Mau Summit Road. Look at the proposal on the infrastructure fund.
Right.
We are saying, why don't we take the money that we save for our retirement? Because we are not going to retire tomorrow. If you have joined employment today, you have 30 years to work. Why don't we invest, give you a return? By the time you are retiring, you have a return on your investment. Kama ulisave 1,100 imekuletea 30,000, at least you have 130,000 na tayari tumetengeneza barabara. We have the social pillar. We said we want a unified country. We want a socially responsive country. We want active citizens. We want dignity for our people. Then the last one, part of the social pillar was to make sure that
a very limited
we
capacity.
have,
that's one of the reasons
we have
grow.
people
Now,
that can be a proud participants of
KQ.
or beneficiaries of what our country gives. Part of it, for example, is to take care of their health. Part of it is to
we
take
called
care
in the
of
right
their
person.
food.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is why when the president
KQ
came,
cannot grow.
because I'll come to
Why?
the big four.
Because
You remember after the Vision
numbers
2030, we have the
actually going
economic, social pillar and the
When you
political
say
pillar.
cannot grow,
Even the democracy.
you're saying it with
that
such
today our young youth
finality as
can
though
engage.
it's cast
It
in
was
stone.
one of the key pillars that we said
How
if
many
we
aircraft
don't
does
have
KQ have on
active
ground?
participation of citizens,
Right.
the country cannot develop.
Not-
Now you
it's
came
not
to Big
certain
Four,
because
led
sometimes
by
you talk about 3D
our
liners.
good president Uhuru
The newspaper
Kenyatta.
article talks about
Akasema
11.
yeye anataka kufanya manufacturing.
Now I want to ask you
So
a question.
nitawauliza kazi yenye tulifanya hiyo time,
That's about
food
24
security.
aircraft.
Okay.
You remember he
How many did
subsidized
we have when I left KQ in
food.
2010?
Whenever we didn't have food na tulikuwa
Almost
tunapiga
40.
kelele,
So
alikuwa anapatia
yes.
pesa
So
Mila.
where did the other 16
Mila
go to?
anapunguza bei
Ya unga.
You know what happens? I talked about,
alafu sisi tunalipa
there's
kwa
an issue
ushuru
here. It's a very
something
interesting
small
issue.
for the Mila. But when the president William Ruto came on board,
I left KQ
he
in
said
2010.
we will not continue subsidizing
2010 I left KQ.
consumption.
All right.
Let us subsidize production.
Now,
we increase the amount
what happened
of
in many-
food that we
when after
produce
leaving,
at an affordable
many
rate.
things happened
Then we will
in-
have
in
higher
KQ.
supply.
We
And
had
because
Mawingo.
then the prices will come down. That is
Which
why
to me
today
was a good idea.
ukikuja kwangu, and he even
But
asked us,
its
can
implementation
everyone
was all
start
wrong.
by feeding themselves?
Why it's good?
CT.
Ethiopian Airlines
When
did
you
it,
come here,
but they implemented
don't
it
make noise to
properly.
us about ugali, because I know maize
there was
can
a lot
grow
of
in every
cloud
village.
around Project Mawingo.
Let us
There's
farm 1
Airbus,
acre for our consumption.
Airbus,
That is
and there was
2,500 times 2. That is 5,000 for
Who what?
fertilizer. Take 10 kgs of seeds, quality seeds from Kenya Seed. Produce food first of all for yourself, that your children can have food, that your family can have food. Then if you have surplus, sell. Even went further and said, diversify. Must you plant 10 acres of maize? Why don't, in Moroni, I know it is possible to do, you are doing sugarcane, but also it's possible for you to do coffee.
It is.
It
in
is
fact,
possible.
In fact, coffee was grown in that area, mostly in Fort Tannen. Even if you go to
Yes.
the town we call Fort Tannen,
Yes.
you will find that there are coffee mills, not used now, but you know the footprints are still there. That is true.
Correct. And we need to revive. Like, for example, if you've been following me on my Facebook page, personally, I have led in my region. I come from Tarbo constituency. I planted coffee during COVID time. And for the first time, I'm operating a dollar account. If someone wanted to audit me, they can audit my life and actually see that I have been earning for the last 3 years very serious prices out of coffee. This year, I have expanded and I've even introduced coffee nurseries in my ward. And last year, I gave to farmers. I said every family can set aside 1/10 of their land. We start from that point moja with 100 seedlings, which is like 4,000 shillings, because one seedling is 40 shillings, for example. Why don't I give these people these seedlings, and in the next 5 years, might watakuwa na half an acre. In 1 acre of a maize plantation, you can only get close to 20 bags of maize. Times how much? Assume even you sell everything.
Yeah.
That means 4,000. You only 80,000. 1 acre of coffee has an average of 900 plants. Presume hata upate 5 kg per plant. And CT, I hope you are already thinking about doing you can do a quick math. If you have 900 seedlings, plants, times 10 kg, that is 9,000 kilos. Presume hata you umefanya vibaya, do even 50%, 4,500.
Right.
At the current rate of almost 800 or 900 shillings. Why are we sticking to the traditional agricultural practices? So that is the kind of transformation unasikia tunaenda Singapore, but someone needs to come and break it down to practical solutions. And I'm expecting that as you go forward, call the PS agriculture. Mimi kazi yangu ni kuhakikisha chenye rais amesema inafanywa. That is strategy execution.
You know, one of the things that perhaps bedevils us, a new idea is often very difficult, not just to understand, but to accept.
Absolutely.
It will be met with resistance. The policies that we had at independence, the first cabinet, the first government that we had, with the sessional papers, the commissions that then followed to try and chart a pathway.
Correct.
They were very useful, but that information, unless you are an academic, it is not something that you would hear it mentioned, but you didn't know the details of what it meant.
Correct.
It would be referred to from time to time. With successive governments, the attempts that you're saying are true and they have been made.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we don't say, and we don't say honestly, in my opinion, is this. The new constitution gave us a provision that makes it possible for what you're saying to actually be a reality for everybody. It's called public participation.
Correct.
The process of letting people know so that they understand. There are 290 people we elect every 5 years to represent us. There's another lot of things, 1,050 whom we elect at home. These are people who, because they are our representatives, ought to be the ones who actually introduce ideas to us. When they go home, instead of the politicking of whom they don't want and whom they want, this is the path that I would want us to follow, and this is what is available. In the absence of that, the narrative that then holds sway is that negative narrative that the government does nothing. I have heard people say it here, and we've asked, explain this nothing to me so that I understand it. Because in my mind, it is not possible for the government not to do nothing, because we have light, we have road. There are things that are happening.
Affordable housing is coming up.
You see, that story has died.
Mm-hmm.
The negative narrative about it has died because it is in your face. You can see it. There are huge structures. You can see them. There's no pretending you can't see them.
Talanta. Just walk across at 5 p.m. Na uangalia vile shift inabadilika of 2,000 people crossing the road leaving and 2,000 coming in.
But you see, this is the point I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
The communication so that people can actually understand what is happening. Before the newspaper report of the railway line that Okiya Omtata has stopped in court, the case he has brought there, even I, who works in the media, did not know about it.
And I agree with you, CT. Now, let me tell you. The first 2 years of our performance in government, there was so much noise. And it reached a point where the president had to call the executive and the people implementing programs to order. It's like when you are in your house and you want to introduce a topic that one does not believe you. Wewe ni mzee wa kusema sema tu na tujui kama hata you are serious about it. Na hii story tulisikia tangu zamani and it has never happened. So what did the president decide? He decided hands on deck. Let the noisemakers continue. I will speak about it. Let every person speak about it. Even if they shout you down, speak about it, but continue working. And he was very clear. I remember in one of the meetings, he said, please stop responding to the negative noise. Continue working. Very soon, they will see the roads. Very soon, they will see the houses coming up. Very soon, they will see the power stabilized. Very soon, they will see their children transition in CBC to grade 9. Do you remember CT, for example?
Yes.
Now that I'm moving to every other aspect of our government. Do you remember when we went for December holidays last year, the other year, 2024?
Okay.
When we were transitioning the first class to grade 9, People asked, we have 8 classes. Mumeleta grade 9. Watasomea wapi? The president gave directives because he had already budgeted for. And he said immediately the schools close in November.
Yes.
And he instructed the school of TVET to develop standard design of a classroom. And he even did the BQs himself. Because he's hands-on president. He brought the school of TVET. He brought the public works engineers. He brought the quantity surveyors and asked them, can you give me the standard cost of constructing one classroom? And it came to 1 million shillings. I came to your village.
Yes.
You saw me go to supervise that, to look at the classroom.
Right.
Where you come from, CT, there was always a 9th class that was introduced to all the schools in Kenya. When we opened school in January 2025, grade 9 transitioned 100%. There was no single child who sat under a tree. Yet, I still see people say that, why are you telling us about Singapore when there are children who are still sitting under trees? I agree. If there's a region where we have not reached and there are no classrooms,
yes,
munipatie pin ya hiyo location. Personally, I will pick it as an area of immediate action by government, and we will ask CS Ogamba, where is the allocation of this school to be brought to the standard of all the CBC classrooms that are going on today? How do we transition these children from the lower primary school to junior secondary and transition them? Juzi tukifanya pathways ya
grade 10.
You know now it's called CBET, competence based education and training. I know you are surprised.
Niliacha ikiwa CBE. Hapo
Yes.
kwa T
ndio tunapeleka sababu ya technical
okay.
training.
Okay.
So ni CBE, competence based education and training.
Okay.
I like what someone posted recently and said, in one of the Western countries, they are actually thinking technology is a disruption to our mental capacity.
It is. There are countries that have actually passed laws to prohibit young children of a certain age.
That's Japan.
Australia
Correct.
as well.
Correct. Lakini sahi wacha president I introduce aseme he wants to ban the use of technology in our homes before you attain a certain age. Mtoto wa Gen Z atasema nini?
Wataandamana.
Gen Alpha watasema nini? That's why if you asked me when I was in primary school, 9 times 6?
54.
6 times 6?
36.
36.
But kuna watoto sahi at a certain level they cannot do that.
It's not just that. Haven't you come across people you work with?
Yes.
You ask them something, they immediately take their phone and say, come on, for
Imagine.
heaven's sake, you can work that out in your head.
Did I hear people say we are backward when we are not using AI?
You see, there's an understanding here that is purely political about what government does and what government doesn't do. It actually has very little bearing on the truth or reality.
Correct.
Now, that, unfortunately, is one of the negative things about our politics. That you will deny even that which you can see, and you will claim it doesn't exist, and it's before your very eyes, and you can see it. The discussions we had here at the very beginning when Shah was introduced, I was working in a different radio station. And one of the questions I would ask when it was the noise, everything that was being said, and I asked, when you say it isn't working, what do you mean? Someone says it's not working. So, and I asked the next question, all right, have you used it? You haven't registered. So how do you know it is not working? Okay.
CT, you are absolutely right. If you go through my pages, remember I was amongst one of the key people helping to roll out SHA. I used to post it. I used to go to radio stations. I used to go to TV.
Again, you came to my village.
I even came to your village to educate your people on enrollment to SHA. And wacha tuambiane ukweli. I told people, I will not have an argument with you before you are in hospital. Before your wife arrives in, before your mother is in hospital. I will not have an argument with you. But today, I'm sure there are millions of Kenyans who have either directly experienced SHA, either through their relatives or themselves being sick or their neighbors. Today I can ask you, how many of you are being called to fundraisings? City?
For health?
For health?
No, most of my relatives have SHA.
Correct.
And the ones who've been hospitalized have received the services that SHA offers. So, and I say it because I say it. So when someone tells me not working, I am forced
What
not
exactly?
to, I actually can't agree with you because I've seen it work.
Yes.
Yes. And the bill was paid in totality. So it's not, I can't even, so when you say it doesn't work, that's why I ask, what do you mean? We had the good fortune of having the doctors who at the very beginning were chairman of that authority who would come in to explain. And that's when I knew the components of SHA.
Correct.
So you would ask again, SHA is the authority. So which service are you referring to?
Correct.
When you went to hospital, what service did you seek? Okay? There is a problem that we have as Kenyans with our practice of politics. If you choose to oppose a certain politician, then you will oppose everything they do. And it doesn't matter how beneficial it is, it will always be bad. And every other decision that they make will also be bad. Now, the unfortunate thing is, when you've been fed on a diet of negativity for very long, that becomes your mien.
Correct.
That is how you look at everything. Now, even when the changes come about, you're still negative. But now, this is when I blame people who are charged with communication in government. Every ministry has them. Some of these things are not difficult to explain. You never hear them explain. You hear the official who heads it coming to explain. You're thinking, and ask, don't you have communication people in your department?
Now, let me ask you, CT.
Yes.
I am going to give you an example of the transition of public officers to SHA. For a very long time, the government has been using the private sector to offer medical covers for public officers. So you are developing a policy. You want a policy to work for the public, and you want a different policy to work for you. Where is equity? And you could hear actually citizens ask us, why are you not raising the level of service delivery in public hospitals or raise the standard of performance of private hospitals in such a way that as a common Kenyan, I can actually go to a privately owned or a religious-based hospital and get the quality of treatment at a lower cost or an equitable cost to what would be in a public hospital. When we introduced tariffs, tukasema a cesarean section, we know how many knives will be used, how many threads
for the stitching.
We know how many doctors will be on operation. We know how many nurses will be supporting. We know how many anesthetists will be there. We know the amount of anesthesia which will be administered for a standard cesarean section. And we costed it. We brought medical economists, akina Dr. Mwai, akina Dr. Duranira. We went and even asked private sector players, please come and tell us what is the average cost of conducting a CS section. You remember the president used to sit down when renovating a state house. He had to construct a pavilion, and he actually works outside, and he brings in technical people. They sit down and ask critical questions of designing government services. When we introduced the standard CT, didn't you see private practitioners saying we are not going to be accredited to SHA? If you come to my hospital, I will charge you 350,000 for a cesarean section. Yet 60,000 shillings, 70,000, 80,000 shillings is sufficient. So must government pay you 350,000 to conduct a standard cesarean section, or we should introduce a standard cost, na ukikubali kila mtu atakuja kwa hospitali yako, you can operate as many as you want depending on the number of beds that you have. When we introduced it, you saw people resist SHA.
It was resisted.
But today, number two, we said we cannot pay you without proper documentation. We used to have mungas and Mongalas, Paulos giving birth. Men giving birth.
Imagine.
Ama mtu amekatwa mguu mara 3. There were institutions, and I can tell you, there were people who were operating patients with a turnaround time of 1 minute. Because uko na one theater, lakini kwa siku una operate watu 50.
There are institutions that conducted operations and did not have operating theaters.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Gerald Sako amesema she didn't speak on the Dandora question, that issue of banning the trash. Tamara anauliza, can the MPs, judges also be compelled to use the services if government hospitals under SHA withdraw the private medical insurance, ama they pay from their own pockets? Mohammed Murunga, I'll repeat this in case you need them. Mohammed Murunga is saying, we need ladies like Veska in the public service. She's so knowledgeable, eloquent, and confident. We need more of such questions, or rather such guests, on the show. All right. You also were, you said you are a CC in Sonko's government.
Kwanza acha nianze. Me am a product of county government.
Yes.
Kwanza mimi ni wale watu walianza kanjo. So after I left KBC.
Right.
Was it KBC?
I was in KBC, yes.
Kenya Broadcasting
Corporation.
There was VOK. I was just
Am I that old?
Actually, let me tell you a very when I used to visit my mom at KBC.
Yes.
And nipate mami yako studio. Nilikuwa naenda kukaa kwa desk ya Mheshimiwa Veska. I sit there, ananipeleka kantini ya KBC hapo, ananinunulia chips na sausage hivi. So all this kitambi you're seeing, it's because of Mheshimiwa
chips or the sausage?
Both. Yes, but you left KBC and then?
Yes. Actually, Mungala, I was surprised to be invited to RG. Then I saw the poster. You're there.
Yes.
Then I'm like, and how comes Mungala has not called me? Then I realized there's a difference between my son and the employee.
No, here we follow protocol.
But I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yes.
So, I left KBC. I was a human resource officer in KBC. Then I joined the Local Authorities Provident Fund, LAP Fund, as the head of human resource. That was si mbali sana, lakini 2004.
Okay.
So when I joined LAP Fund, my responsibility was to convert the scheme, which was a department in the Ministry of Local Government, to a parastatal, which we call today LAP Fund. I took that scheme when it was 600 million shillings. As money that imewekwa tu kwa account.
600 million.
Yes. 600 million. And I went to develop structures for LAP Fund. I recruited the finance manager, who is currently the CEO, Mbogo. I recruited the current GM benefits called Veronica Lesea, and a great team. And we worked with those people. We went marketing Local Authorities Provident Fund. We found people who had been employees of county councils, municipal councils. Mtu amefanya kazi 20 years, ajai save for their retirement. In less than 6 years. By the time I left, LAP Fund was a 7 billion fund. Out of just information, education, and accountability, putting in place structures for fund managers who could independently invest the money of employees of local authorities. That is why today we have a serious reservoir of money for pension schemes, and we have a structured governance framework where hakuna ile declarations zamani mtu alikuwa anaamuka na kusema leteni hiyo pesa ya pension nunua kware mahali fulani. Right now, RB has given guidelines on where money will be invested. Some will go to treasury bills, some will go with to bonds, some of them will go to infrastructure. They have given us very structured ways of managing. Now, hiyo kazi ya kufanya local government ikanipatia nikasikia naweza kuwa governor. Because I realized now that we have devolution in place, we are now transitioning to 2010 constitution. I participated in the committee that was doing legislative framework for county government, operationalizing of county government. Sasa niko hapo nikaona kuna county public service board, kuna CECs, and I said, now that I am done with pension, I allow people to run the pension scheme. At least I've put up structures. It has grown to 7 billion. Nikaenda kurun for governor in Uasin Gishu County. Then I reached there. They said, hey, governor is a male domain. Hatujaiona wanawake wanataka kuwa wakubwa wa county. In fact, where I come from, people say, hiyo ofisi ni ya wanaume. But I'm grateful. I did my best. I was not able to become the governor. My classmate, Mandago, became the governor.
Right.
And I'm very happy that he did his part.
Okay.
And now he's the senator. And now we have Kotimoja. So when the government of Kidero advertised for the position of County Public Service Board, I am an HR expert. I was given the opportunity to become the vice chair of the County Public Service Board. So transitioning staff from the city council all the way to become county government employees, putting schemes of service, appreciating. Ulikuwa unakuta mtu ni engineer lakini ago job group H. Bringing them to upgrade them to a level where they can competently perform like engineers in Kura, Kera, was not a mean task. And so I was there between 2013 to 2017.
Okay.
Then came Governor Sonko. Na alikuwa anatafuta waziri. Mi nikauliza, I am here, I can actually be of good service.
Right.
Out of my training in university, I'm a certified public secretary.
Right.
I've done accounting, I've done a bit of law. I was given the chance to become the first, the CC for finance. Na kutoka hapo muliniona finance, nikaenda health. Mimi ndio niliconvert Mbagathi hapa ikuwe the COVID center. Do you remember? When COVID came,
yes,
there was no place to take COVID patients. And Uhuru called us to State House and asked, which facility can we use to easily upgrade to put ICU beds? Because that time there was no single ICU bed in Nairobi County.
What do you mean?
Not even one.
The reference is to public hospitals, not
Correct.
private. Yes.
Correct.
Private hospitals had ICUs. A national hospital like Kenyatta had an ICU, but you talk about space.
Limited
where
space.
You could take patients.
Remember the kind of patients that we were having and the kind of emergencies that were rising. Critical care that was required. We didn't have a single ICU bed. I converted what used to be, what was supposed to become a maternity wing of Mbagathi. Overnight, tukaenda kupaka rangi, tukaandika Kenyatta National Hospital COVID Response Center.
Actually,
and we put 14 ICU beds.
Actually, give more details, because what was done was actually within a very short space of time. But you were actually able to meet the demands.
Yes.
You were able to keep up, meaning whatever was put up didn't exist before. But it was then put up to meet that particular demand. Now, to understand what then did happen, remember Nairobi Hospital.
Correct.
Directly opposite Nairobi Hospital, there's like a hospital there. Now, but that now was put up by World Bank and the UN, okay, for the same reason. But Mbagathi stood out. Because one moment there was some space, then all of a sudden there was a structure that came up. That was it. Yes.
I'm telling you, we worked within a crazy turnaround time. There was a building that was supposed to be a maternity wing, which at one point had been condemned.
Yes.
You remember there was a case of condemning.
Yes.
And I had to go to Public Works and I asked them, you have structural engineers. Can you come and ascertain if this building can actually be utilized for the purpose of saving lives? And they came. And they said, this can be quickly refurbished, reinforced, and within 10 days.
Yes.
Actually, we had a functional COVID response center with 14 ICU beds.
Okay.
Go to Mama Lucy. There was a building in Mama Lucy that had been left there for over 10 years without being completed, simply because the contractor had not been paying close to 300 million shillings. I asked, why are we having people sharing beds in Mama Lucy when we can actually pay this contractor the 300 million shillings and she completes? Actually, she was a widow and she can complete the building. Go today to Mama Lucy. Actually, I was telling Sakaja it should be named after me.
Why? Actually, yes, it should be.
I changed it. It is a 72 bed and I even gave a provision for ICU beds. Actually, I think I should have vied for governor in Nairobi County. What was I doing in Uasin Gishu?
Actually, ask yourself a simple question. Would being governor have brought about the changes that you want? You know, sometimes certain political positions inhibit your ability to even do things, because now you become a fully fledged politician.
Sure.
And when you become a fully fledged politician in this country, you'll be juggling so many things that the very process of bringing the changes that you want will be interfered with.
I agree with you, City. Actually, when the president gave me an opportunity to become an advisor, I actually saw this is where I can actually become an impactful public officer. Because I can see Kenya is not short of plans. Kenya is not short of strategies, but there lacks people who can actually ensure that the job is done. Like I work under the Office of the Public Service, Head of Public Service, Felix Kosgei, for implementation. I work with Adan Mohammed in Strategy Execution Office. So when we attend meetings and the president gives priorities and directives and says, this is what I want done, it is now us who convert those directives into specific plans and action and budgets to the sectors. Kama ni walimu, for example, amesema Ministry of Education to employ 100,000 teachers. The first 76,000 were employed. The next 24,000 have reported to class this January. So we have hit our target of how many people? How many teachers? 100,000 teachers within 3 years.
Does that include the 24,000? Those 24, the 24,000 interns?
Yes, some were interns, and we have new ones that have come.
Okay.
You would be shocked in your village. You would find someone who graduated, even the P1 teachers. City, you would find someone who graduated in 2012, 2014. People who have stayed with their P1 certificates for the last 15 years without being employed. Today, the president has given priority. And he has said, start with the people who graduated earlier. And make sure we pick all these people and employ them and put them in government institutions so that they can support the current demand for education. We may need to upskill them because remember, mtu mwenye alisoma P1 na sahi anapewa CBC kidogo atapata challenge because the methodology of teaching inaitwa
pedagogy
ngumu sana for challenge.
Pedagogy
Tutasikia pedagogy. So for us, we need to invest now on upgrading those teachers, building their capacity and skills to be able to impart functionable knowledge and skills for our people. Now, I want to go to Dandora.
Before we go to Dandora,
Okay.
and we drift too far away from this issue of public hospitals, we have a single Brian asking, Kenyans constantly hear plans of health and education, yet public hospitals lack staff and schools remain overstretched. From a strategy and execution standpoint, what has been fixed, not planned, and how do you measure success beyond budget allocations?
Perfect. Asante sana. What is the name of that Kenyan?
Brian.
Brian. Thank you very much, Brian. Now, the role of a leader, for this matter, the president, is to actually decipher through the challenges that a country has and offer solutions. CBC was started in 2017. Yeah? And there was a desire that we need to review our curriculum to be more suitable. We need to bring up graduates who can actually apply their skills practically. We need to introduce transitional institutions like, for example, TVETs that give practical hands-on industry suitable skills so that mtu ameenda kufanya electrical engineering, for example, mtu amepata C stand ama D+ can start as a craftsman. Akutanishe tu mawaya, ajue vile stima inatembea, anaweza kujiajiri nyumbani, anaweza kufungua an electrical shop. Like my electrician in the village actually is a craftsman. And he does a better job than a graduate.
Yeah.
A graduate may be doing bigger designs of industries, of manufacturing plants. But there is this craftsman who has been taught how to do repairs of basic electrical works. We said we want to industrialize. We want to do affordable housing. Are we able to graduate people wenye hata wajaweza kwenda secondary school? We take them to village polytechnics, teach them plumbing, tile work, plastering, painting. We have great painters in the village. I just did some paint work in my house in the village, and I was surprised Actually, in my church, someone just came up and told me, Madam, nilisikia unatafuta painter. And I said, yes. He said, I'll come and look at your house. He came, did a quotation, and I was surprised. He even knows the best paint, where it comes from, at a cheaper rate or at an affordable rate. And he could tell me, kuna this brand, kuna this brand. I realized even when they went to the village polytechnics, they were taught how to even manufacture paint or how to delineate what you use in the interior,
right,
what you use in the exterior. Yet ni mtu amesomea Tapsagoi TTC. I don't know what's your name of your TTC in your village city.
A TTC?
Technical Training College. So, I want to, Brian.
My village.
The plan, he has said, how do we convert the plan into real action? I want to ask Brian, kwa ile primary school alisoma, aliona darasa ya grade 9 kama imejengwa 2025 or not? That is one thing.
Right.
The president had to give an extra allocation of funds to Ministry of Education to ensure that no child does not transition to grade 9 last year. This year, remember we went around teaching people pathways. If you allow your child to be able to pursue career pathways or academic pathways according to their ability. That is why today unasikia kuna watu wamepelekwa Nairobi school to go and study social sciences, sports, creative. There are some who have gone to still Nairobi school because of their science capacity. They are going to pursue STEM. The pathways needed someone who actually understood. And I'm sure Dr. William Samoei Ruto didn't have a CBC, although he has a CBC girl, the last born daughter. And I'm sure he has seen it practically and he has listened to the people. So we have a government that listens. Now, the other part that Brian asked.
Yes.
Is on what, Sha?
He was asking, let me just repeat his entire question.
Yes.
Kenyans constantly hear plans on health and education, yet public hospitals lack staff and schools remain overstretched. From a strategy and execution standpoint, what has been fixed, not planned, and how do you measure success beyond budget allocations?
Number one, wacha niambie Brian, health and education is a social service. We don't have education to make profit or to make it economically viable. We facilitate and fund education using exchequer so that we introduce equity.
All right.
So that a child in Samburu, a child in Mandera, a child in Nairobi, mwenye anaishi huku Kibira, mwenye anaishi Mukuru, can be able to go to a public school which is fully funded, which has enough teachers to be able to access education, which becomes an equalizer at the end of the day.
Okay.
So, on the funding part, social services are always internationally funded by government. If there's any windfall that can come from a support of either a grant or a donor support, is welcome. But a government cannot absolve itself from funding social services. Okay. If we say, let's wait for World Bank to come and fund for us our education, we may not be able to achieve universality of education. Two, on health. Remember, health is a devolved function. And there's this debate, was it ripe for Kenya to devolve health? But remember, we gave ourselves a constitution. We gave ourselves a Schedule 4 of the Constitution that clearly demarcated work for national government, which is mainly policy, resourcing, and capacity building, either technically or through training or giving technical support. That is why when institutions come to approach the president to give support, if it is WHO, for example, that it wants to support primary health care.
Yes.
They will come to the president. Then the president directs that funding to county government, either as conditional grants to be able to support those specific programs.
Okay.
Recently, you saw President Trump give President Ruto 5 billion shillings for our health system, because he actually realized that if what the president is doing to introduce universal health, which is heavily driven by an IT system that can capture all the citizens using the referral framework. Are you aware in my village, Mimi, I was registered by my CHP, the community health promoter in my village. She came to my house, akachukua ID yangu, akasema mzee ako wapi, akauliza watoto wako wapi, wamefika wapi, wakanipima pressure, kuangalia kama niko na pressure, as the basic data entry inception baseline for our health system. Today we have over 27 million people in SHA. And most of them were onboarded using the community health promoters. People have been diagnosed to have high blood pressure at the village level, and they have been referred to the nearest health facility. Now, I will use the still example of my village. In my village, my nearest hospital or dispensary is Tarbo Sub-County Hospital. Yeah? In your village, I'm sure there's like a sub-county dispensary or something. When you arrive and it is connected to the health management system managed by the Digital Health Authority, ukifika tu ukitoa ID yako, they will key in. They will see your name, they will see your spouse, they see your children, they will see your data, your age, they will see your pressure for that day when you are enrolled, your temperature. They will have a small medical history. Watakuuliza unamezanga dawa gani, unakuanga na ugonjwa gani. They key it as basic information. So even if you arrive as an emergency patient in a Tarbo sub-county and you had already been enrolled in SHA, people don't have to struggle to ask, anaitwa nani? If you just produce your ID, it's keyed in. Then they realize, oh, amekuwa na anameza dawa ya pressure. So they will check the pressure. Oh, amekuwa akimeza dawa ya sukari because we can see. Then they will check. Because some of the emergencies could be arising even simply because someone has not taken their medication or their blood pressure has just become crazy and hit the roof. And so that person can have an immediate intervention. Badala ya kupewa painkiller, aukolewa kwanza na kustabiliziwa pressure, ama kupewa vile anastabiliziwa sukari, ama ni kupewa a small admission. Now, why health infrastructure is not responding to the needs? Health is a very expensive, capital-intensive service. Actually, if you go to most of the county governments, I was the Minister for Health at one point. 60% of the budget of county governments actually go to health. Shida ni kitu moja. Remember when we transitioned staff, medical staff from county government from national government to county government, they went with their salary. Yeah?
Okay.
Vile ulikuwa unalipwa ukiwa serikali kuu ilipelekwa huko chini. And might be the allocation of or the revenue generated by that county may not be able to sustain that salary. So there must be ways in which we can source additional funding to support health sector. Or tukireview constitution, tukubaliane turudishe health irudi wapi?
Kwa government.
But on the issue of health, there's a debate that has been there for the longest time.
Yes.
Regarding the budget that is allocated to health at the national government and the portion that actually goes to the counties vis-a-vis what remains at the Ministry of Health.
Actually, very little money remains in the Ministry of Health. Because policy, why are we retaining money, a lot of money? The major budgets that remain here is for the workers at the Ministry of Health. Most of the programs, for example, that run under Ministry of Health are actually donor funded. In most cases. But the actual funds that go directly to fund healthcare in Kenya directly goes to the counties. And it forms part of the formula that is used in allocating them. Now, Brian, I think should be able now to decipher and understand that national government does policy, capacity building and resourcing. But the actual treatment works happens at the county level. Now, it is the responsibility, and largely I tell people, the success and failure of county governments depends on the governor that you choose.
All right. There's a question here about 844. Why couldn't they upgrade 844? That's what Ruto promised us during the campaigns. He was to scrap CBC.
I am not sure that the president said we are scrapping CBC.
During the campaigns he did.
He did.
Yes,
Did he say we are scrapping CBC, or he said we are going to implement, we are going to review the education system?
Review, perhaps to the minds of the ones who listened to him, was tuitoe, tuibadilishe, turudishe 844.
No. I think if you hear even Sosion whenever he speaks about education, and might be those are people you need to bring, or my colleague Janet Oguko, who was my colleague CC,
Alright.
who is a better person in education matters. I think what the president said is we have to agree that there is need for us to review our education system to be responsive to the future education and professional needs of our country. And I'm happy today because we are having now this conversation that CBC is now a competence-based education. We look at the ability of your child. We look at the resources that are required to support that child, to be able to comprehend, to have knowledge, to have practical skills that can help them graduate to become functional, market-driven employees, professionals. And I think that's what the president has brought forth. And we have said we have not reached the destination. There is need for continuous review. There's need for continuous review. And let's agree, any education system that does not continually improve to respond to the market needs will become a useless system. So for me, I think the conversation should actually go around continuous evaluation and continuous improvement. If we do not have enough teachers of the CBE, can we continually have them go for in-service? Like, for example, the president had recommended that we reduce the churning out of P1 teachers and might be make sure that we take the ones that we have, build their capacity to be able to perform, and might be going forward we introduce the diploma ones that their curriculum actually is suited to preparing our children for a first world working environment. So I think that's what is proper. Now let me go to Dandora.
Please, let's do that Dandora thing now.
What did that person ask? The dam site. Why are we not converting
our trash to energy?
I want us to go back city, and I want you to listen. This morning when you left your house, how was the composition of your dustbin?
It has everything from organic to inorganic materials.
Nataka tuseme chenye iko ndani.
Kuna mandizi pale ndani.
Kuna maganda ya ndizi.
Kuna maganda ya ndizi for sure. Maembe, si unajua sasa msimu wa maembe.
Watu wa Kitui.
Kuna packet ya maziwa.
Kuna
packet ya kahawa pia.
Kuna bones.
Yes, kuna bones za kuku.
Kama una dogi.
Juu tulikula kuku jana usiku. Kuna all
now,
these things.
If we were to segregate that waste.
Yes.
60% of our waste is actually organic waste. It is organic waste. For you to convert organic waste into energy, ni kama karatasi, a dry paper, a dry wood, metal, and vegetables. Which igani itawaka haraka?
Makaratasi ndio itawaka haraka.
Alafu mbao
itakaa kidogo.
Alafu chuma.
Sasa hiyo itakaa kidogo sana.
Na ugali?
However, mheshimiwa, we have
I want an answer. Ugali itachukua muda gani kabla iwake?
It takes a bit of time.
Correct.
Kitambo ikauke ndio iwake.
Thank you. You know I like simplicity.
Yes.
And I think in the future I will recommend that we have presidents like Dr. William Samoei Ruto and might be in the future Dr. Veska Kangogo. People who are practical. Tuambiane ukweli. Ukienda Dandora sahi, takataka mingi yenye inaokotwa Mudhurwa ni maganda ya ndizi, which is ukienda you used to see me move around the city cleaning when I was the Minister for Environment. Actually, I think I'm the only minister who moved in almost all departments. I started in finance. I went to health.
Mosiria might outdo you.
Amefika wapi?
I think now he's in his fourth docket. I could be wrong, but
lakini it could be fourth doing the same thing.
Please continue.
But Mosiria is my friend. So let's go to the waste that we collect from Nairobi. 60%, and I can tell you authoritatively because I actually participated when we were converting ourselves into the cyclic model of waste management in Kenya. 60% of our waste in Africa and Kenya is organic waste. This waste will require a lot of power for it to generate power. I still tell people, let us change the way of thinking. You cannot do the same thing several times using different gimmicks and expect different results. I want you to go to Dandora. I have visited Dandora more than 10 times. Mi ndo niliweka way bridge Dandora. When I realized watu walikuwa naokota takataka, anaingiza lori, anapima waste, anaenda anapiga roundabout, anapiga gumzo mtaani, ajamwaga takataka, anarudi tena. I put a CCTV there and a mast and a way bridge. That is why at one point I was removed from being the Minister for Environment. Juu nilikuwa nazuia mmonyoko wa udongo. Hold on.
Okay.
So I've said 60% of our waste is organic waste. Ask me today, what should we do? Number 1, segregate waste.
Right.
Number 2, let us convert the 60% organic waste into organic manure.
Yeah.
Why are we spending too much money doing feasibility studies, bringing Italy? I went to Sweden and I saw their energy plant there. Most of them ilikuwa chuma. In Kenya, unakuta chokora wako juu ya lori. Kama palikuwa na chuma ilitoka kwangu, in the next 5 kilometers ishapata soko. Same to cartons. We have people who collect waste paper. Isn't it?
Yes.
Na wanapeleka pale Chandaria inatengeneza tissue. We have people who have stations where they segregate waste. At one point, people were using close to the Nairobi River, and I had to close those dump sites because they were actually leaking the waste that was not useful to them into the river. So let's agree that it may not be economically, logically practical for us to convert our waste into energy. Lakini unajua sasa, that also depends on the political philosophy of the leader. And it might be science that might have changed over time. But me, what I would recommend is, considering the kind of waste that we generate, it is only viable that we do organic manure. We use it to plant our plants. We use it to do our greeneries. Let's convert that waste. We can even do it in our backyards. Yes. Or even tuseme kila sub-county wa convert ya watengeneze. Ukitaka kupita hapo Embakasi, kama ni mtu unaishi Utawala, unanunua organic manure yako hapo Mihango, unapeleka unaenda kupanda mboga yako and whatever you need to do.
But Mheshimiwa, we are not the only people who consume organic matter. Therefore, we are not the only ones who produce organic waste. It happens in Germany, and I'm using Germany as an example because I have relatives there, and this is what they tell me, that the waste they produce in their houses, anajua vizuri sana, plastics will go into this garbage.
Segregation.
Exactly what you were talking about. Organic, the pills nini zitaingia hapa, ile mabonzi libaki jana usiku zitaingia hapa, and then anything else that cannot be recycled will be put in this place, and it is later come and picked up, and it is easier to even convert it into whatever manure they want, for example.
I agree. It goes
Why
to our
my
brother. It goes to your orientation as a person. My orientation. It depends on our culture. How do we treat waste? Actually, we don't love our waste. We don't love our waste. That is why we don't even spend time to segregate it in our houses. Actually, we think the best person to segregate ni chokora. So tunazitupa pale ndani, chokora ataibeba, aenda isegregate. That is why when these handcarts young men pick the waste, they actually go and offload them in a certain place. They actually do the segregation there. Wanatoa makaratasi, wanatoa chuma, ile imebaki yenye haina maana ndio inapelekwa Dandora.
May I say something?
Yes.
Segregation has to be taught.
It has to be taught.
The assumption that a Kenyan, irrespective of where they live, will understand, they may have the head knowledge that this is what is done. But for them to actually be able to do it in the households where they live, it has to be a campaign.
Agreed.
Because I know of attempts that have been made by environmental groups to do this. And I know that they even formed groups where people within the areas they live in would form themselves into organizations that were involved in this process of segregating.
Absolutely.
But I do not know of any authority, whether it was a local authority then or the county government, actually ever adopted it as a policy which they actually implement.
And that's why I've said it boils down to leadership and leadership in different sectors. And I agree with you, CT. We need to introduce this now that we are even having CBET. A curriculum-based education, we can start introducing this issue of segregation pale mahali watoto wetu wanaanzia.
Actually, if that is where you start.
Correct.
Can I also suggest something somewhere else we can do the teaching? We can, because I use a VPN whenever I'm sometimes surfing the internet, because I want to access content that is not necessarily available here in Kenya. And whenever I'm on YouTube while using a VPN, I get a lot of adverts from countries such as Germany. And there they have regular adverts where they actually, on YouTube, they have regular adverts. And these are adverts that have been sanctioned by their government, teaching people such issues as segregation of this trash, whereby, and they are told over and over, this is how you put this waste here, and this is how you do this waste, and this is how you do it. And imagine they do that in 2026. I believe I
agree with you, Paul. I totally agree with you. Sasa mukumbuke tena na wapeleka tu bado kwa schedule 4 ya constitution. Environmental management and waste management is the prerogative of the county government. We have a whole minister in charge of environment. We have a whole chief officer in charge of environment. Now, I want to totally agree with you. Sometimes my pastor tells me that wakati unahubiria watu, you might need to divide your sermon into priorities. Ukiona ule mtu ni mgonjwa mahututi anamalizwa na pombe, usiendelee kumwambia okoka ndio uende mbinguni. Mwambie okoke ndio uishi a quality life. Hii pombe inakunyang'anya pesa, hii pombe inadhoofisha afya yako. You show them the immediate benefit to them. Before you take them to heaven. Kenyans must upgrade their conversation on waste management to the Singapore level. Let me still call it that ideological philosophy of Singapore must happen. And the day we will introduce these topics, now I am spreadly thin. Hii serikali kuna so many things that we are doing at the same time. Mpaka inafika mahali unasema, am I now overrunning myself? Mpaka ninaenda kuongea mambo yenye Sakaja nitakana akuja aongee, ama waziri wa environment, ama ni concentrate na hii better. Bottom unaona hata hujaniuliza mambo ya better.
Hapa ndio tunaenda bottom up
na karibu ifike saa 4 na sijauza serikali.
Sijali wewe 15 minutes. I'm sure you can sell much more. Yes, I agree with you. We need, again, like you've said, and CT said something which we have always told every single government individual that have come here. Communication is a problem in this government, and perhaps it needs to improve.
No, it's not a problem in this government. It's a problem with every Kenyan government that we've had.
Yes.
It's not this one.
Let's deal with the one that we have
now. I'm going to invert this question. So, Munona, the way we have sat in this studio, we are 3 of us.
Yes.
Imagine if you are speaking to me, I am talking, I am screaming, I'm interrupting, Wongo, that's a lie. I'm not even hearing to conceptualize and appreciate. We need a national conversation. Now, we are currently being led by His Excellency to have a review of our strategy. We have Vision 2030, which we are how many years short of? 4 years. We are now reviewing Vision 2030. We want to see through the medium-term plans that we have had, through the Big Four agenda which was being implemented by the Jubilee government, through the better plan that we have now, and the MTF4 that we are currently implementing from Treasury. How far are we in achieving our Vision 2030? Then we ask ourselves, how do we elevate now our policy, our conversations to go to a first world status? Which may start by our basics, our core values. How do we reach our first class status if we are still addressing ourselves by tribes? Political formations, poor governance, corruption. What I want us to, the president is leading us now in this conversation, and I think there's a working group that is already on it, who are trying now to say, what do we do? we need to begin this conversation, and I know you will become part and parcel. And City Muga, I want to introduce you to, I want to invite you. Na nyinyi, I can even host all journalists for breakfast from our office. We can have that conversation. We want Kenyans to come and tell us, what is your dream? Because all of us cannot be presidents. Whoever we will choose as a president, post 2032, for example, will he be able to carry the vision of where we need to be as a country? Do we need to look at our curriculum? Do we need to look at our health systems? Do we need to look at our penal code? Nikipatikana nimeiba. Do we continue saying unajua kuna protection? Do we continue seeing people selling narcotics to our children? And now we are busy opening rehabilitation centers as if we've come comfortable city na tumesema hii generation naonekana wanafuta bangi sasa wacha tu tutafute vile tutawatibu, or we will deal with the source.
You know, the thing you're doing is the right thing. When you talk about the community health promoters, we in this country have a tendency of rolling back time.
Correct.
We had that cadre of government employee who dealt with matters agriculture. The health component was there. Public health, boil water, do this, do
Correct.
the other, plant this, plant the other, do this. But for purposes of communicating government intention, purposes, progress, direction, we've achieved baraza from time immemorial. We do not lack the structures with which to communicate the things we need to do. We have the structure. Now, we got carried away with devolution and the process of devolution, and the people who are in the devolution process are the ones who got carried away even more than the rest of us. So, the focus that we thought devolution would bring to the lives of the locals, because every county is local, it hasn't happened. And the narrative of the devolution process that brought about the county system is more of a disappointment than anything else that you can think of. Every progress that we speak of is measured against the low levels of development and the low levels of poverty, or the high levels of poverty that our counties had. And so a little change is considered to be a very big thing.
Correct.
And yet, if you look at the amount of money that have gone to counties, it doesn't actually reflect on what you actually see. It doesn't. And then there's this little subject. This is my pet subject. It's called own source revenue. Very many county governments that were previously had a provincial headquarter, very many of them actually collect less revenue than when it was only the city council, the town council collecting the money, and they have a much bigger space. Meaning, devolution, which was supposed to provide the solution that would take people now to Singapore, because if the county governments have money, if the county governments understand how to grow their own economy, the economy of Kenya grows. But that doesn't seem to be the priority of most governors. The opportunity they have is to complain about the money which they haven't received. But they never give us a good account of what they've done with the money that they have received. Because if they did, there'd be no discussion of pending bills. None whatsoever.
Let me give you an example. When we convert county governments into employment bureaus, it's like giving birth to 10 children with the same level of income. Umepata wafanyikazi 5,000. Umeamua the only way I can be elected back is by giving people jobs. Explode, you are now at 10,000 employees. Your revenue is the same or has come even lower. Your allocation is the same or even has come lower. You are increasing the number of people working and you are not increasing the number of services that you are giving to citizens. And that is why currently the County Government Workers Union are doing an election. They did their branch elections. Ukiuliza huko Muhoroni watakuambia tumefanya branch elections ya Kisumu. Huko Kitui where they have done branch elections. I have reached a point where I have now said, can we invert the governance structure in this country? Can we have active public servants who can actually contribute to the governance framework of the country. That employees even also, other than contributing to the efficiency and productivity of government, can help put checks and balances for government to function well. How do you sit as a Secretary General of a county government workers union? You are continually seeing governors continuing employing people, yet they are not even able to pay the staff that you have. They are not even able to remit statutory deductions. But because you are a county government workers union official, you say sababu mimi ninalipwa na subscription. Munga.
Yes.
The higher it goes, the better it becomes. Instead of looking at efficiency of the people that are working in county governments, I think this is also a national conversation. And sometimes I think my former boss, who used to be the Minister for Local Government and is now the PCS, Honorable Mudavadi, I like the conversation that he started. That don't you think it is time for us to relook at the Constitution? Pick on the issues that you think we are doing well on. We continue with them. Let us review the sections that we think, for example, are actually taking us back. Let us review them. Why should we have, for example, 47 county government public service boards?
Okay.
Who, when you go to Migori, only employ people from Migori? Daktari, ni Musuba. Driver, Musuba. Communication, Musuba. Paka hata lugha ya county ya kufanya kazi ni Suba. So if someone comes to seek a service, anataka kufungua biashara, anataka license, na kama elewi Kijaluo, inaweza kuwa ngumu kuelewana. Why don't we have one county government a public service commission that takes care of all employees of county governments? And we can even say you cannot stay in one county government for more than 6 years. Move. If you are the best head of revenue, we'll move you to Meru. Enda huko, implement those strategies, lift up conversations on how we can raise revenue in Meru to make Meru county government work.
Mheshimiwa, you have just enunciated a policy that will make you an extremely unpopular person with county government officials and the warlords within county government. I'm using the word warlords for a very specific reason. You see, the county governments and what it was envisioned it would do is not what we have. No. What Mheshimiwa Mudavadi is saying is true.
Yes.
What I find strange, we had a transition authority that was given a lifespan of 5 years. We had the Commission on the Implementation of the Constitution 5 years.
Correct.
Both those institutions should have been given a minimum of 10 years because everything that we're saying is correct, but there needed to be an established structure within which we're looking at these things. Where even as we're moving along, we would see, it was on paper, but it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
We need to change this.
So, Siti, can we agree? The day the president will bring the national conversation, and I pray that it comes soon, can all of us go there as patriotic Kenyans? Leave the politics of UDA, DCP, Masikio, Wilbaro, tuachane nayo. Let's think about this lovely country that we have.
Umesahau umbrella.
Kuna umbrella. Wiper, mtu wetu.
Tuachane na hiyo siasa, yes, you said it.
Let's have this national conversation. And I want the day we have that conversation, Munga come and become a moderator. Ala, Buvi, have a conversation with the youths.
I'll be glad to moderate.
Let's even start small. If we think the noise will be too big, if we take it to a bigger stadium,
Yes.
let us go to small youth groups. Let's build up the conversation from the grassroots. Let's elevate it to the county, the constituency level. Let's have resolutions come up to the regions, and can we build up this case? Mpaka ile siku inafika Bomas 1, Bomas 2. And are you aware, by the way, we are building a very serious conference center in Bomas? An 11,000 capacity conference center.
Oh, no, we are very, very aware. Remember that when you are talking about these conversations, and you've rightfully done so, if you belong to a political party, say something like UDA, because I have observed that UDA by far seems to be the most structured and deliberate political party we actually have. Look at the way...
Na ODM.
No.
Chama ya baba.
No. The structure...
Thank you for the compliments. I'm a member of UDA.
The structure that UDA has and
Yes.
the deliberate policy that UDA has to actually make the political party, in my mind, strong enough to survive the
Beyond.
current party leader is something that I have seen. It's not that I am guessing. I have seen. Just what they do, the benchmarking, the things they go. The delegates and how they manage the delegates. The process. You start here as you move along. I'm using the example of the delegates and that process to steer and to spearhead a conversation. It's a formation and a structure, and you have said it, where you begin these conversations and how it is cascaded. So by the time it gets to what we're calling the Bomas level,
Yes.
that thing has been thrashed out
Absolutely.
at all those other levels. So the conversation is actually fairly refined.
And you mentioned public participation. I did my PhD in public participation. And I said, Kenyans are not ready for public participation. Actually, what they understand as public participation is very different from what happens. I have conducted public participation for budget processes in Nairobi. The people who come there, first of all, people might be when you are work na kitu ya kufanya. So they arrive, unamuuliza which sector are you representing, anasema mimi ni youth leader. Na wewe una represent wapi? So when you arrive, the first thing they say is, where is our lunch? Where is our allowance? We don't even give them information early in advance, so that by the time they are coming, we are engaging in a discourse that can become productive. So I want to agree with you, City, and I want to help you take away your fear. Don't fear to make people uncomfortable. Because my president says, if you want to be popular, stand in Mama Ngina Street and distribute ice cream for free. But remember, it will run out. And the ones who will not have received will accuse you.
They'll curse you.
They'll curse you for not giving them the free ice cream. So I think we require leaders with resolute. Irrespective of our ethnic backgrounds, irrespective of our status in society, people who are sold out to become reform and change agents, people who do not fear. Personally, I am very proud to become to be an advisor in this government, because the president gives you a chance to contribute and take it back to practice. The head of public service, every day, we stopped sending letters to government institution. I wrote, reference is made to your letter, blah, 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 subsequent to this one, to remind you. No. If we realize that you are not talking with each other to make government work, we call you to Harambe. We bring all the stakeholders in place. We say we were supposed to have delivered this project. It has not happened. Tell us, the user department, why has it not happened? They'll tell you, oh, we did a paper, we wrote Ministry of Lands to give us land for building. The Ministry of Land has not communicated. Okay, PS Lands, what do you think? I have just received the letter and I've responded, but we don't have money. National Treasury. That is why you have seen government has become very fast in rolling out government programs. No delays. We have adapted what we call a whole of government approach, WOGA, where we sit in one table, we finish, we give ourselves timelines, and next time when we meet, we're giving status updates. Every first Wednesday of the month, we have our PSS meetings. They respond to issues that have been raised in their departments, progress of the implementation of their programs in their departments. PS Omolo updates us on the status of security on a monthly basis, and everyone is proactive and is plugging in. I agree. We need to work better with the current structures of government. Interior. That's why ulisikia the president, wakati alikuja akaleta chiefs, wote, they were retrained. Part of the things that they asked for is facilitation. Can we be facilitated to move from one place to another? Wanatafutiwa magari. Ulisikia hata polisi, tunawapatia electric vehicles. Ndio waje kusema, hakuna mafuta.
Mheshimiwa, we have come to the end of
How
the
fast?
show. I know. I actually have 27 more questions for you, but this gives us a very good opportunity to have you back.
Okay.
I don't know when you will be ready. hiyo ni mambo tutaongea, utuambie kama unaweza rudi hata kama ni kesho kutwa, but we honestly we appreciate the fact that you've come and you've articulated some of the issues that we had, including matters to do with our health sector, but most importantly also to do with power, which obviously has been on people's lips. And I like the fact that you said things have improved, na uka challenge mtu ukasema kama uko na power blackout nipigie simu, na sijaona simu imeingia. So good for you.
Ama mtu amekata line.
Ama amekatiwa na ajui. So
ama kuna blackout.
Ama hajalipa.
Ama hajalipa. All right. So this is where we very much. Yes, this is where we come to an end as far as this conversation is concerned. That is Veska Kangogo, Advice on Strategy and Execution, Executive Office of the President.